Are you ready?
Let's go.
Now circling in the neutral zone.
Here's the pitch on the way. 36 yards for the win.
This.
Here comes a big chance. The shot
is
this the dagger?
The neutral zone.
Home run. Good.
This is as good as it gets.
Now, here's your host, two-time Paralympian, Brock Richardson.
What's going on? It's time for another edition of The Neutral Zone. I am indeed your host, Brock Richardson. Coming up on today's program, we're going to talk about Canadian swimmer Penny Oleksiak. She received a 2-year ban from competitive swimming because she failed some whereabout checks. Not one, not two, but 3. We're going to talk about that and all that it entails. Plus, we had a conversation with Carter and his mom last week, Jennifer, and we're going to talk about the decision he made as a 16-year-old to put school ahead of his sporting career. I'm joined by Cam Jenkins and Claire Buchanan. Here come your headlines.
Neutral Zone headlines.
Bocce will help open the LA 2028 Paralympic Games. Even before the flame is lit, bocce will take center stage on opening day. This decision will burst open the exposure for the sport. And for the first time in Paralympic history, competition will start before the flame is lit. Bocce and wheelchair rugby will start the program early as part of the 15-day schedule.
Shohei Ohtani will be suiting up for Japan at the 2026 World Baseball Classic. He announced this on social media. The 2023 World Baseball Classic MVP is looking to run it back for another World Baseball Classic championship.
And unfortunately, we have some sad news coming out of the curling world. This week, the great Colleen Jones has passed away at the age of 65 with her private battle of cancer. Colleen Jones won 6 Scotty titles to go along with 2 World Championship victories. Our condolences go out to the family of Colleen Jones and the entire community curling family.
Those are your headlines for this week. If you want to get a hold of us on social, here's how you can do that.
And welcome back to the Neutral Zone broadcast booth.
Play ball.
We're set to get this bowl game underway. The first pitch is brought to you by Brock Richardson's X account at Neutral Zone BR.
Strike.
Pitch and a strike. Hey gang, why not strike up a chat with Claire Buchanan from the Neutral Zone? Find her on X at Neutral Zone CB. There's a swing of the chopper out to second base, right at Claire as she picks up the ball, throws it over to the first base for a routine play.
Out.
And fans, there's nothing routine about connecting with Cam and Josh from the Neutral Zone at Neutral Zone Cam J and at J Watson 200. Now that's a winning combination.
So as I mentioned off the top of the show, Canadian swimmer Penny Oleksiak receives a 2-year ban from competitive swimming because she failed 3 whereabouts. So let's put a few things on the table to get things going. So what is the whereabouts program? The whereabouts program is part of the World Anti-Doping Association drug program that applies to all international Olympic and Paralympic foundations and their athletes, and they all have to be a part of this through their national anti-drug organization. So each federation has their own sort of affiliative that they associate with. Secondarily, the program requires certain athletes to submit information about their daily routines so that they can be located to do drug tests. The second part of this is, if I scroll, as my computer is freezing on me as we do this, who takes part in the program. Basically, every athlete can take part in this program, but they also do have selective athletes that are part of the program, which is referred to as the registered testing pool, which is a group of people who are on a list because they're known as high-level athletes, and they may have competitive aspirations to win medals. So if we look at this as a whole picture, and we know now that athletes can be on these lists, what is your overall reaction to Penny Oleksiak and how she has missed 3 whereabouts? Let's start with Claire on this one.
It's interesting because it's a 3-strike program as well. So this isn't the first time, and you have to have 3 strikes within a 12-month period to get a ban of this nature. And so it's really interesting that happened multiple times throughout the 12-year span. And I'm always curious. My mind always goes towards, I want to hear what the athlete had to comment on this. And her only comment was, I am and always have been a clean athlete and will make no further comment at this time. So it's interesting because I mean, she's working with a lawyer as well. She has her own sports lawyer that she's working through this as well. And so I'm curious as to if there will be, if she's going to want a review of this and kind of try to overturn it, or if she's just going to take the ban and kind of plead no contest. But it's interesting because there's a lot of other comments going around from other people outside of this situation, and it's just opinions, but I don't understand how you forget something like that as well. I myself am sometimes a forgetful person, but that's why I have 3 separate calendars in my apartment right in front of my face. So I know what's going on and what's coming up, but yes, it's interesting. I always, especially when we're talking about athletes, and that's what we do on this show, is to know what they're saying to get their comments. And yeah, she's just not speaking about it right now.
Yeah, as far as that goes, she's been swimming competitively or in the Olympics since she was 16 years old, I believe. And I've never heard of something like this coming up before, as far as her, being banned or not being able to check in or to fill her calendar out to say where she's going to be. To me, just being the average Joe, like to have to do it, I think is it by hour that they have to say where they're going to be so somebody can test them?
You have to give them at least an hour within your day of free time where they can show up.
Where they can't show up. Okay. So as far as that goes, like, even if you are, at home and then all of a sudden you decide, I'm going to go on a trip to Brazil, like, you can still change that, because usually the trip is not like a last minute within 24 hours. I'm going to hop on a plane to Brazil. Like, yeah, I don't think that she used drugs, and this is my own personal opinion. I don't think she used enhancing drugs or anything like that. I just think that she's been competing since she was 16 years old, and now she's in her mid-20s, I think. And I think that, maybe she just doesn't have the same desire that she used to for competitive swimming. And, from what I've read, a couple of people have kind of mentioned that. And as well, now Claire said that she's working with some lawyers, which I, believe to be true. And once again, it's all like people's opinions. It may not be fact, but what I had read was that she's accepted the ban, and she didn't dispute it or anything like that. But what goes on behind the scenes and all that kind of stuff, you never know. But I just, maybe she's just tired and doesn't want to compete competitively anymore. I don't know. And the only one that knows that is Penny.
Before I give my thoughts, because I have been a part of the testing pools and it's quite an ordeal, I just want to reread part of what I read to you quite horribly in the beginning. But I want to go back over the registered testing pool. So an identified group of athletes are part of the registered testing pool. And these are a group of elite level athletes who are generally believed to be at higher risk for doping and are subjected to more testing, along with the very top athletes for the pool. These athletes can include coming off of an injury or recently retired. Funny that it's recently retired, because sometimes that's when athletes can kind of go off the rails because they believe that they're free, and you do sign I know I can be tested for X amount of time after I retire. When I did it, it was a 12-month period. After retiring, you do have to sort of still be responsible within that period. Second thing before I give my comments that I want to put out there is I too do not believe that Penny Oleksiak is involved in any drug taking. I think that this is an oversight, but I do have a lot to say on it. According to a message from Swimming Canada, her failure to reach the whereabouts were because of a administrative mistake and some errors also that were not related to avoiding drug tests. So all of that is to be said that they are also sticking to the point of she's not involved in drugs here. Here's where my opinion comes in. As a former athlete who competed for Team Canada for 7 years, this whereabouts program is not something that is new to you. It's not something that is like, oh, where'd this come from? It is something that you go through rigorous paperwork, rigorous modules, rigorous all kinds of things. You know exactly what your obligation are to these testing pools, to the World Anti-Doping Association. You know exactly what your obligations are. So to me, I don't leave in a lot of excuses for 3 missed whereabouts. I can accept 1, sure. I can accept 2, but a 3rd one, I think there's something going on. And I agree with both of you who said maybe this is more about, her not wanting to be there. But then you also have an obligation, Claire. If you're not feeling it, you gotta own it. You gotta be there and say, look, I'm just not feeling this. I'm gonna get out. And that's an option too. But the option is certainly not to miss 3 whereabouts.
Yeah, I definitely personally would take the option of just being outright honest. And like, athletes get so much media, and yes, that's another layer of it and pressure on your shoulders to constantly have to deal with. But I would rather come out and say, hey, I am just needing a break right now, instead of going this route. And if that's the case, everyone deserves that, especially when we're coming up on the Winter Games right now. There is time to take a break for her. She is tied with Andre DeGrasse for the most medals for a Canadian in their Olympic career. So it's not like she hasn't done well and she has boxes to check off. She's had a really great career. So, I mean, if she's wanting a break, I think of anybody, she's allowed to take one of those. And it's interesting that this is happening.
Yeah, it is. And it's just, I don't know, it's a weird path to take a break. I think it is sort of interesting, and it does sort of raise my Spockian eyebrow where I go, she took a 2-year ban, which is in the first part of the 4-year quad. Was this done with intention? Maybe. I don't know why. It's easier, Cameron, to say, let's take a 2-year break because we know our skill set, versus missing 3 whereabouts in the course of a 12-month period.
Yeah, and like Claire made a point of, I think she said that Penny was, talking to lawyers or conversing with lawyers. So if she's willing to just take the ban and it's because she is burnt out. Why is she consulting with lawyers then? That kind of raises my eyebrow to that as to why she would be wanting to speak to a lawyer. But you said it's the beginning of the quad, so it's 4 years before the Olympics as of right now. Is that true? Okay, so therefore, like you said, maybe she'll get a 2-year break and then amp up her training and everything within a 2-year period and like kick Canadian butt in the pool, when it comes to the next Olympics. Maybe that's what she wants to do. But, she's been doing it for 10 years at a high level, and she's one of Canada's most decorated Olympic athletes. So, maybe it's just a matter of she just doesn't have the same passion or the same motivation. But I would be so surprised if it had to do with any performance enhancing drugs and that's why she missed them. I would be absolutely shocked if that was the reason.
Claire, is there another narrative though? Because as Cameron finished, and Cameron, I'll get your thoughts. It kind of raised my thoughts of like, if you miss 3 whereabouts within 12 months, you get a 2-year ban. And you can then you can get the Swimming Canada to back you and say, this is not based on drugs. This is based on some administrative errors and all this. Could there be the narrative out there that maybe she is on something and she knew, hey man, I could get really screwed for the entire, quad if I, provide a test right now because I know I accidentally took whatever I took. So she took the easy route of 2-year penalty as opposed to 4 and beyond if she's caught on drugs. Am I getting somewhere, or do you think I'm just nuts for what I'm pulling out right now?
I mean, I think you have to consider that narrative. Absolutely. And when you do look at that one, like taking a 2-year ban is definitely the lesser of 2 evils than getting a 4 to 6 or even 8-year ban and it going public as well. So, I mean, I would consider that narrative. Absolutely. Do we want to think about that? Do we want to see our Canadian athletes that way? No, absolutely not. And I think that she's reaching out for legal advice on kind of next steps on how to handle the media and maybe not trying to fight it. Because she's not saying anything right now other than, I have no comment. I'm a clean athlete. So I think I am, again, curious what will come of this in the next week or so. Are there going to be comments from her? And is there going to be even more opinions or even kind of support from Swimming Canada? If she's not going to say anything, is Swimming Canada going to say something for her?
Yeah, I'm curious to know kind of moving forward. Like I understand Claire's point about it's easier to take the 2-year ban rather than a 4, 6, 8, whatever it would be if she got caught taking drugs or PEDs. Now, this ban happened just after the Canadian Championships, which she competed in. My question is I wonder if she was tested there. Because if she was tested there and it showed no sign of PEDs, then like over the course of this past year, I'm sure like would the drugs show if, she took it 2 months ago, would it still show up at the Canadian swimming trials when she was there? Or like, I'm just curious about how the whole process works. And I just have a lot of questions that I'm sure we can't answer today as to if she did take PEDs, how long that would stay in her system for. Because it seems like maybe just a month after the Canadian trials, this came out about Penny, maybe 2 months.
Yeah, I find it interesting that Swimming Canada came out and said administrative mistakes and inadvertent errors. I find that to be an interesting choice of wording there. I think that sort of leads to me like they're sort of taking the sort of brunt of, hey, it was kind of our fault. Now, my question Cameron, to you, and we'll start here. Is it on the back of the National Sports Organization to defend their athlete until the bitter end, or what do you make of this? Is this just like Swimming Canada has to do what they have to do, or could they come out and sort of sell her out? Seems a bit of an aggressive term, but if they really believe something different, could they also come out and say what they wanted to, or do you believe it's on the NSO to be like, no, we defend our athlete to the bitter end?
Yeah, I think that's what happens, is that they, stick up for them, or they defend them to the bitter end, unless it shows that, that they did use PEDs and science proves it. And then at that point in time, I don't think, the Canadian contingency would, back her. But otherwise, unless Penny or any other athlete badmouth the Canadian Olympic Organization and started to put blame on them, I think that the Canadian Olympic Committee and other parties, they would back Penny or any other athletes as long as they're not getting badmouthed by the athlete.
Claire, thought there?
I mean, I can speak from my own experience that both our head coaches and our NSO, which in my situation is currently the same people. We're not under Hockey Canada yet, so they aren't our NSO at the moment. But there's constant reminders of, hey, this is coming up. You guys need this done. If you don't get this paperwork in, you're not going to World Championships. That's another piece of coaching. So those reminders are there. And I think also you stick up for your athletes to a certain extent. I wouldn't say the bitter end, because once it gets bitter, I don't think you guys, there's good things happening in that situation. But in that sense, we've also seen where athletes are going through those times, and situations do arise where they have made bad decisions, and instead of shunning them, you offer support of how do we turn this around. So it's in any situation. I hope that Penny is one, being honest with herself and her teammates and her coaches, and but also she's also receiving the support she needs to, if she wants to continue swimming, if that's the goal. I hope so. I hope that we see her in the pool at 2028. But yeah, it's, I hate when these things turn into kind of like a witch hunt, because that's not good for anybody.
Look what happened to Brianne Harris and the curling situation with Team Einerson. I mean, that was an absolute disaster for a long time, and it's turned out well. And she's now playing. She's not playing with the Einerson rink anymore, but she is playing. And I mean, that was a situation where everybody was kind of like, hush, hush, we don't want to talk about this because we don't really know. But she was banned until otherwise proven, and then it was proven, and then you just kind of get this blanket like, oh, sorry, you can go back and play, no problem. And I want to be very clear that my national sports organization, if I put myself in Miss Oleksiak's shoes and I'm saying I'm a clean athlete, and that's my comment, and my national sports organization, in this case Swimming Canada, is spouting the administrative errors and that's it, they better back me. But with that said, if I have something to hide, I also better be clear. And I agree with you, Claire, that the National Sports Organization is going to back you, but you better be open and honest with everything that is going on there, because I know for me, our National Sports Organization in Bocce Canada would have been like, we're going to bring you behind these closed doors, and we want you to tell us exactly what is going on here so that we know how to better support you moving forward, whether we have to come out there and throw spaghetti against a wall and hope that it sticks. But we want to know what is the truth of the matter in all this, and that's it. And if you're not going to be honest with us, who has supported you for X number of years, then we can't help you. And that's just the where it is. There's plenty of opportunity, guys, for you to be open and honest with people that are going to love you and protect you as much as they can. But if you can't be honest with the people behind the closed doors, then you're really in trouble, Cameron.
Yeah, and the whole thing that Canada came out with about, the errors, or the, I forget what word you used, but
administrative errors.
Yeah. But
yeah.
I don't even think when they say that they mean it was them that made the administrative errors. An administrative error is possibly Penny put in that she was going to be in Mexico and then ended up in Brazil and didn't tell anybody and didn't change it. To me, that's an administrative error because she's the administrator making the change in her own system. So when, Canadian Olympics Committee comes out with that, or Swimming Canada comes out with that, I don't necessarily think that it means that they made a mistake. I think it very well could be Penny as well.
Yeah, administrative errors and inadvertent errors, which means, in my mind, whatever it was a mistake, and that's it. I would like to know exactly what is in the mind of Penny Oleksiak, and we're not going to know that until a public statement of some kind goes through the hands of different people in order to get it right. I can honestly say the person that I wish that we had on this program this week would be the one and only Devin Haru, because Devin is beside the pool. He lives, eats, breathes, sleeps the pool, and we're going to try and get him on in the new year is the latest we've gotten with Devin. He's a busy guy, but trust me, this week is one of those weeks that I wish I had the phone number of Devin and I could call him and be like, what do you know that I can publicly on a podcast, share? Because to me, there just feels like something is missing, and I think that's sort of by design, because until it needs to come out clear, it ain't gonna come out, and that's just how it goes.
Yeah, I would not want to be a PR person in sports. That's not, I wouldn't want to handle situations like this.
You'd have a full-time job.
Yeah. And yeah, as much as Devin loves the pool, he loves the curling rink just as much. So he's he's, you never know where he is in the world. He's either beside a pool or right beside some rocks being thrown. But yeah, he's a guy that I would absolutely love his opinion on this.
Yeah, I don't.
As far as Miss Q goes, and her not saying anything, or nobody saying anything, and with Penny not saying anything, that's basic lawyer 101. Don't say anything until the facts come out or until there's a trial, and then we can put it out there. So I think it's best not to say anything, because if you start doing rumors and innuendos like we do, then, it can go rampant, the fires, and, that can be really tough. And it can be held against you too if you end up saying something, and that could be held against you in court or public opinion or wherever too. So that's just lawyer talk for don't say a damn thing.
Yeah. And you go through all these things that say that once you get caught with drugs and proven without beyond the shadow of a doubt, and that's just the way it is, your life will never be the same, because we get, the public record, and we can go on and talk about this and, have conversations. And that's why I want to close this part, and I want to speak for every single one of us on the panel. Nobody on this panel is suggesting for 1 second that Miss Oleksiak has done any drugs. We are not saying that one bit. We are talking about the stuff that we know, and the fact is that we know that she missed 3 whereabouts, and that results in a 2-year ban. Whether that gets lifted or not remains to be seen. She seems to have accepted it. So, there go Penny Oleksiak for 2 years, I would presume, but I just want to put it out there. We are not putting out there that she has gotten herself into any trouble aside from what we know of missing the 3 whereabouts. What we do know is we had 16-year-old Carter Plumb and his mom, Jennifer, on the program 1 week ago. And one of the things that came out of this was that he didn't go to national championships, which was actually being held when I interviewed him last weekend. And he told me why. And the reason why is because he wanted to put his schooling ahead of sports. What's your reaction to this? And I guess before I get the reaction, I should say that right at this moment, his best buttered bread is going to junior events. He's not in a position today to go with the national team. And so by missing national championships, he doesn't really hamper himself in that way. I'm just curious, what is your take on a 16-year-old deciding to put school ahead of his own athletic career? Cameron, start with you.
I think it's the right thing to do. Brock, you mentioned that your Paralympic career was 7 years, I think you said?
Yeah, with the national team, it was 7 years, which equated to 2 Paralympic Games. So
yep. So 7 years compared to the rest of your life, you're going to need to get a job, or you'll want to have higher learning of some sort in order to be able to do something with the rest of your life. So I highly suggest, he made the right decision in choosing academics over sports, even though he, can potentially become a Paralympic athlete.
Yeah, I agree with you. And mostly considering the age he's at, he's in the high school still, and it doesn't give you the flexibility that like college sports gives you with balancing the both. You can't really create a schedule that works for you at this age. So there's a ton of maturity that comes around choosing that. But I think on the athlete side, he's being realistic of where he's at right now and how much time he has ahead of him as well. I think he's not only taking the time to focus on school, but trusting the process as an athlete as well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, as everybody would have heard, from the interview, I've known Carter for a long time. I've known him since he was about, 4 years old. And I was listening to that answer, and I was thinking to myself, man, as a 16-year-old just getting on the scene with the Paralympic, the time with the national program, a year out from the Paralympics, I don't know that I would have prioritized school over athletics. I was able to balance both in the way that it was done. I was in and around the same age as Carter when I made the national team. I made it at 16. I went to my first Paralympics at 17. My father actually listened to the interview, and he texted me and he goes, "Do you know that you've been like aging yourself by a year for a while on this podcast?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "You made the national team at 16, you went to the Paralympics at 17. And that's just the way it was. I thought I made it at 17, went to the Paralympics at 18. But it puts together the whole, it's when you enter the scene of something and you say, okay, well, I'm entering 2007 World Championships, Vancouver, and the next year is Paralympics. We've qualified as a country. So you kind of have this window of like, when you get involved is when you sort of know, okay, this is where we're at and this is where it is. For me, I was getting in and knowing I have a chance to go to the Paralympic Games, and I did. Carter is still, because of the BC3 category, he's still a bit further away from that, in that, he's not just jumping into the national program, and it is that. So it is sort of twofold. Cameron, I heard you sort of respond as I was talking there. I'll give you the floor.
Yeah, I just think education should come first in most cases. Of course, you're always going to, have reasons as to why you make the decisions that you do. And you just showed why you made the decision that you did, because you were closer to making the Paralympic team than the gentleman that was on the podcast last week. So, there's lots of factors. And also at 16 years old, I think you need that education in order to, because you have your whole life ahead of you, and taking a look at the big picture, I don't know what it is for Paralympics, but yours was 7 years of being on the national team and going to 2 Paralympics. So it's just a matter of looking at, okay, that 7 years compared to the rest of my life, and what am I going to do? I'm going to need education in order to be able to get a job if that's what you're capable of. But there's so many different, I might have a different opinion if a person's 24 and then all of a sudden wants to get on the national team because their schooling is over. So if they have the money to be able to do it and to live in, however, whatever their community looks like as far as being able to live and to make money and pay for it, then, I have a different opinion. I'm go for it. Do it. But at that age, I just think education is much more important.
Yeah, and I also knew too, making the commitment to the national team at 16, I knew that with the time I was missing and having to do assignments on buses and trains and this and that, I knew I was probably going to have to do a what they call victory lap, because I'm not old enough to have OAC in my life for school, but I did do a victory lap because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do it. And these are the sacrifices you make. And was I 20 and cursing the world that I was doing another year of high school when every one of my friends went away? Yeah. But again, this is the price you pay with the decisions you make, Claire.
Absolutely. And it just brought up the bunch of interviews that I did with the Paralympic pair hockey team earlier in the year. And 80% of that team is currently studying right now, but they are taking maybe 2 or 3 classes right now and pausing their schooling in the new year to go to the games. So sometimes being an athlete means, hey, if you want to get a degree as well, that 4-year degree might take 7 years. That's just the sacrifice you take. There's no other way of balancing it.
And as I say with anything, it's all about the money. Can you afford to do that as well? Because if you're doing that MBA or a university degree in 7 years, that's also years you could be working and making more money or earning power. And how are you able to afford to live and to go to Paralympics? And I know there's sponsorships and different things like that too that teams get, but I'm still sure that there's still a lot of stress on the individuals that aren't living at home and have to pay rent, even though they get their flights paid for or accommodation paid for when they go to tournaments at that high level of a Paralympic type level. But you still have food and beverage and rent to pay and other bills to pay. So yeah, and everyone has to make a decision at that point in time on how they're going to do it. So,
and then a newsflash, even as this glamored, glorified athlete, the results are not there, guess what? The funding's not there, which then means that you then have to figure out how to pay the bills still and figure out, well, I missed X number of years, X number of months in when I could have been at the workforce and I could have been doing this. But there's tons and tons of factors. And I was coming on here originally, going to be like, yeah, I couldn't have made that mature decision at the age of 16. But the more I reflected since I did the interview, a week ago, it's like, yeah, to make that decision, it is the smart choice, because if you don't have high school, that's like your footing where you're going from now. And so there's just pressures everywhere now with decisions you make and financial implications here and there. It's not easy, and you have to have the backing of family and friends and your close circle who says, I'm going to do X, Y, A, B, C and all this. It's not an easy decision, and you just have to know, hey, look, because I'm making this, I'm carving out this path, which is not always the easiest to do either, Claire.
No, and I mean, Cam, you have a good point. There's so many different factors that go into it. And it really depends on what sport you're in as well. Not every sport has the exact same funding. Not every sport has the exact same exposure. So yes, the para hockey players are getting a lot more sponsorship opportunities than other sports are, because they just have the exposure that the other sports don't have. And that trickles down to the athletes, of course. And so it's, at such a young age, it's a lot to think about. But again, I revert back to it's really nice to see him slowing down and trusting the process on the athlete side, and just knowing that he has the time.
Yep, and just taking the wherewithal and understanding it's one step at a time, and also knowing where you are at the journey, what my journey was and his journey and yours, Claire, and Cameron's and Parasport. It's all different, and you got to know, where the lines are and how to do that. And it's not easy to do. And I mean, even his mom said in the interview, I don't know if I could have made that decision at the age of 16, but the funding is not aplenty in the world of bocce, and it's there enough that you can survive, but it's not enough. I mean, I had to pay for post-secondary, schooling once I retired, because they said, because you'd been on the national team for X number of years, you're entitled to this retirement bursary, which was like $5,000, which went to my post-secondary, education, and that's what I did, and how it happened. But if you're not on that national trajectory, and you don't spend 7 years on the national team, you don't always get okay, I decided to put sports first, so now I'm going to do post-secondary. Well, you may not get lucky enough to say, here's $5,000 to go put towards post-secondary school at the age of 24, 25, whatever I was, and how that works out too. So it's all decisions and timing and funding, Cameron.
Yeah. It just keeps coming back to that almighty dollar, and I wish it didn't. I wish if somebody was capable, that they could just get on the Paralympic team and not have to worry about, or the Canadian team, and not have to worry about funding and paying the bills, and it would just all be magically paid for. But that's not the world we live in. So
maybe in Disneyland, but not here.
Well, yeah, I'll go to Disneyland soon, and I'll let you know what happens in Disneyland, and if it happens there. But I don't think it does. So
if it happens there, Cam might not come back from Disneyland.
Damn right I wouldn't, man. I'd stay there in the hot weather, and rather than the snow that we just got yesterday or last night, or whenever we got it, like, put me in a hot climate year round, I'm set. And I'll open Cam's tiki bar on a beach somewhere and serve drinks and make my money that way, and just live the simple life. I don't care. But
there you go.
Everyone's got to make decisions in life, and they're certainly not easy decisions. Quite a few of them, and they can impact your life greatly sometimes, and sometimes it's just a decision that doesn't really matter. And life still keeps going, and you don't even think about certain decisions that you make. So, but
hear you. I mean, it's just, and sometimes the path you go on and the path you choose doesn't always work out either. There's not this, automatic, winning recipe that says if you take this path, you're going to be golden, because it's not true. And a lot of times the Paralympic dream is just getting to the Paralympics, because that the medal is either attainable or it's not. And it's where it is. 3 people win a medal, 3 athletes win a medal, and plenty don't. And that's just the way. And you got to put things into perspective and how you think about it and move forward. Putting things into perspective now, to close out the show for the last about 15 minutes or so. We now know Canada's representation in curling. We know that Rachel Homan defeats Nova Scotia's Christina Black in this is Rachel's 3rd consecutive Olympic Games. She competed in 2018 with her 4-person team. She competed in 2022 with the mixed doubles, and now 2026. I think I can speak for all of us and say that we're not so much surprised who won on the women's side. It's who was there competing alongside her in Christina Black that may have surprised people. Cameron, I know you're big in curling. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that first game, Christina Black just lost 5-4. It was by the hair on their chinny chin chins. So that was a really competitive, close game. And then just got blown out the second game. I think the final score was 12-3. And I was looking, Homan, she curled 95% that game. And Black, Team Black, the skip Black, she only curled 58%. She couldn't throw a draw to save her life. And that third end, where she was light on a rock, and then Homan kind of punched a rock in there to count 4. Once that happened, if you're up by, I would say, at this level of curling, up by 3 or more, there's no way in HE double broomsticks that you should lose a game when you're up by that to anybody at that level, but especially Homan. She only lost 1 game the entire round. But it's just nuts, the curlers that are the teams and the experience and how good they are at the Canadian curling trials for both men and women's sides. That to me is almost like the Olympics in a lot of cases. But congratulations to Homan. She lost 1 game all week. She was pretty dominant in all of her wins. And getting closer to the end of the week, or those couple of games that were the finals, the ice wasn't as good too. It was just kind of breaking down and stuff. So it was tricky for the curlers to be able to play on those ice conditions too near the end of the tournament.
Yes, indeed. We'll flip to the men's side in just a second. But Claire, I just want to get your thoughts on the Homan Empire continues. As I mentioned, this is her 3rd straight Olympic Games going in different regimes. And so what are your thoughts?
You said it correctly. I mean, is anyone surprised that she's going back to the Olympics? No,
not I.
She's one of those people that we can almost guarantee a medal with her. And again, we're going to move to the men's side. Just it's curling, Canadian curling, just is. You can't miss out on it. And I am grateful for actually this show that brought me into the curling world. And just there's
Brock and I dragged you into the curling world.
You really did. You
and
said
Josh
so.
Too. Josh did.
We're gonna cover curling for 2 months straight. You better buckle up. So it's it's incredible to see how good we are at this sport. And I can go on a tangent of there's just we're leading up to the games right now, and curling, speed skating, short track, para hockey. Canada is going to bring so many medals home in Italy, and there's no doubt that curling is going to be one of those sports.
One thing
Yeah,
about Holman, to sort of interrupt you, Brock, but last thing I'd like to say about Holman is that she has won 5 Canadian championships. She's won 3 world championships. How many Olympic medals has she gotten? Does anyone know?
I don't think any. I think it's 0.
She has gotten zip. So that is the only thing that is missing from her trophy case is an Olympic medal. So hopefully she's able to get a medal going into Italy.
I think it's coming this time around. I think she gets a medal. I'm not going to go out and say that it's going to be gold for sure, but I'm putting it down that she's going to be on the podium. She's been the best team in Canada for 2 years in a row now. She's only had like 3 losses in the last 2 years against Canadian opponents, and she's got a pretty steep record in the international world as well. So there's that too. I just also want to shout out the fact that Christina Black, her opponent, literally in the post game shouted out and said, plain and simple, Rachel Holman is the best Canadian women's curling athlete and team that's out there, and they're the best in the world. So even when your opponent can acknowledge that, it's like, yeah, you know, you're doing something good. So I am going to try to get somebody on from the Rachel rink over the next little while before they go, because I would love to talk to any one of those 4 ladies, because they are quite a machine right now. Somebody else who's quite a machine this year is Brad Jacobs, who is going to be the representative on the men's side. This was a bit of a tighter match. They've had 1 point swings both games, and Brad just came out on the other side of this. I do feel bad for Matt Dunstone. He's been in Brier finals and now Olympic trial finals and just can't get over the hump. But what say you on Brad Jacobs and Matt Dunstone, Claire?
I mean, that's another team that, again, I being with the women's team, the last recent years, we've been on kind of the other end of gold medal games. So I know how that feels to be just that close and not get there. But I mean, Jacobs played a better game, and really looking forward to watching them in Italy as well. I believe Canada's last gold medal in curling was 2014. So maybe this is our year to turn that around.
Which was the last gold medal. One was Jacobs and Jennifer Jones at the same event. So I think we got some good positive vibes rolling in there. Cameron, thoughts on Jacobs, Dunstone, wherever you want to go there, or both?
Well, I'm going to go to left field here, and I just really wish Gushue had won. Started off the week strong. I think started 3-0 and then kind of went down from there. So yeah, like, congratulations to Gushue, and he's still playing, but this is his last year, and I was hoping that he'd get another Olympic medal out of it, but it wasn't to be. And then, yeah, Jacobs, Dunstone. Coming into this, Dunstone had won the last 3 curling matches against Jacobs going into it. And however, that doesn't matter a damn, because it only matters what you do during the Olympic trials. And Jacobs won all 3 games against Dunstone during the trials. One in just a regular matchup, and then round robin, and then 2, in the finals. So congratulations to Team Jacobs. They played really well, and I expect them to do well in the Olympics as well.
Claire, before we move off the curling discussion, I need to get your thoughts on something that really surprised me last week when I brought up this 2 out of 3, and both my co-hosts was like, we don't like this. we're gonna watch. We don't like it. What say you on the 2 out of 3 of the curling trials being a thing, as opposed to the 1 game gold medal? That's it.
I mean, there's pros and cons of both. I love a 1 game winner takes all, but I mean, we also love when we have those best out of 3, best out of 5. We love a game 7. in sports. So, I mean, you can say that curling should stick to one structure, and fans love it that way and go down that road. But I mean, I am newer to the game, coming from being a fan of other sports that usually go into those best of threes, best of fives, game sevens we look forward to. So, yeah, I like a best of series, but I think the pressure is always better and the excitement is always better with a do or die.
Here. Yeah, I mean, I think the end result was what it was going to be. I mean, both Jacobs and Holman won both the games. They won first and second. So the end result would have been what it was. But man, was I ever hoping for a game 3 from Dunstone and Jacobs. Like, I was watching that on record and just like, give me another one of these, please. And I was so happy, but so sad at the same time of like, it's over. It's done. This is, I'm sad, but man, was I ever hoping for a third game. But I think it all worked out in the wash. We didn't need the third game. We really didn't need the second one if you were Rachel. I think it all worked out as it was supposed to be. Cameron, I agree with you on Brad Gushu. I was sad. I do think he has a real opportunity to win World Championships, not World Championships, the Brier, to then go to the World Championships. But man, would I have liked to have seen him put the Maple Leaf on at the Olympics one last time. Let's squeeze in for the last couple of minutes. Blue Jays make some news. They sign starting pitcher Dylan Cease to a 7-year deal, $30 million per season. What do you make of this? Do you like, dislike? Is it too early to talk Blue Jays? What are we talking about right now? Cameron?
Well, we're talking about it, so we might as well. I guess it's not too early because we're talking about it. So, and the winter meetings are coming up too. So, from what I read a little bit about Cease, high strikeout pitcher, gives up a lot of walks and puts in a lot of innings per year, which the Jays like to have their pitchers throw a lot of innings, 180 plus. I think he's done over the past 5 years on average. Last year was a bit of a bad year as far as his statistics show, at least the ones that are upfront to most people. But apparently the underlying analytics show that he's still got, I don't know, it's called a whiff rate or something like that, or I don't know, all these new baseball statistical things. But I think the Jays have shown that when they've gotten pitchers in that have promise or have struggled, Pete Walker takes them under his wing, and they seem to do really well. Like, my love for Kikuchi is still strong, and I think Pete Walker turned that guy around, and he pitched really well for the Jays. And Robbie Ray, who went to Seattle afterwards, he pitched really well, and I think he even got a Cy Young here. I think that he, under P. Walker, he's going to end up, turning into a really good pitcher and really helping the Blue Jays out.
I was really expecting Cam to go to the almighty dollar again when it comes to this, because this does
almighty dollar. Yeah, let's talk
have
about
some conversation around what do they do with Bo Bichette with this signing. But that's for another day. Bo Bichette will land where he lands. But
I'm okay talking about Bo. If you want to talk about Bo, I'm good with that too.
I don't think we have enough time. I know we like to run overtime quite a bit, but
overtime show.
Right now we're on pace, but we're getting close.
I mean, okay, this signing and him and Gausman have thrown the most strikeouts since 2021, I believe. I think it's a good signing. I was a little surprised by the length of the contract.
7 years.
Yeah, I would have expected closer to like 4 or 5 years, but hey, I like seeing a team invest in the future, and that's what the Blue Jays are trying to do right now. They're trying to win right now, and then they're trying to win for a long time. really hope Bo Bichette is part of that.
Yeah, we've been critical of the management group here, but the thing that I love about what they have done is they've gone and gotten free agents and they've signed them for a longer term deal. You look at Barrios, you look at Gosman, and you look at this guy, and they were all signed for term and for money. And that's, you got to love that. It's not just we're going in now and that's it. We're going in now and we're going in for the future. I mean, you've inked Vladdy to a 500 sheets deal of that, and that's a lot of money, and he earned his keep just simply in the playoffs. I think people could have him get one hit next year and they'd be like, well, he got us to the World Series the year before. So
no,
I don't
you
think
are way too kind to Toronto fans right now. There's no way. They're like, we paid this much. Show us what you got.
The fans will be on him like a pig in mud if he only got one hit or one home run. Or if he plays terrible, they will be on him by like frickin' June.
I'm being totally facetious when I say this. It's just interesting times in Toronto. And I also just want to shout out the Toronto Raptors making it to the NBA Cup quarterfinals. And guess what? Their ownership is the same as the Toronto Blue Jays, and they're putting their money where their mouth is, and they're doing things there as well. I can't say the same about the Toronto Maple Leafs, but that's another topic for another day. We've reached the end of the road for this episode of the show, and I've probably pissed off Cameron enough as I roll out the door.
Drop a thing about the Leafs when we can't talk anymore. Like, what the Maple Leaf is up with that?
Do you want to spout about the Maple Leafs for 30 seconds?
They suck right now, and I'm not too happy about it.
Do you think they're going to make the playoffs this year?
No, I don't. Not right now.
No. Thank God.
Anyways, that's the end of our show. We'd like to thank.
Yeah. You want to do it? Please send off our show for today if you'd like.
Well, that's it for this episode of the Neutral Zone. I'd like to thank our host, Brock Richardson, and co-host Claire Buchanan, and I'm the clown of the day, Cam Jenkins. We'd also like to thank our technical producer, Mark. Can't remember how to pronounce his last name, so I kind of messed that up. But anyways, thanks, Mark. You're awesome, and we love you. And just a whole disability community that supports us and listens to our program, and just people that enjoy the show, friends and family and everybody else. Thanks for supporting our show. We enjoy that. And you never know what's going to happen next week in the Neutral Zone. So we'll see you then.